What's good, sports gamers? With the blow-by animation in full effect and now players are sliding all over the place like it's 2K on ice, we gotta find ways to prevent this. So I'm gonna help you with this to give the power back to the defense and improve your own ball ability in NBA 2K21. And if you like the content we provide, make sure to subscribe to the channel to continue to help us grow together. I'm Chris from Sports Gamers Online, and alright, let's get it. Now first, let's get back familiar with the basic controls of defense. The first and most important is getting into your stance, which you do by holding the left trigger on your controller. This keeps your head forward, widens your base against players trying to drive past you, and most importantly keeps your head facing forward. Next is holding both the left and right trigger and moving your left stick in different directions activates a quick shuffle with your player. Instead of holding it, you're going to want to get used to flicking the left stick to the left or right to align yourself directly back in front of the ball handler, which will be one key in preventing oversliding on defense. This flick method gives you the built-in discipline of not overcommitting and still being in place to deal with the next move they're about to throw at you. And the higher the player's lateral quickness rating is, the faster he'll be able to move side to side doing this. And sprinting is done by moving the left stick while solely holding the right trigger, and your player will run as fast as he can. You're going to do a lot of sprinting out of your defensive stance, so all you will be doing is letting go of the left trigger to run, since your hand is already on the right trigger, so it's an easy transition. Now you typically want to set up in your stance around the 3-point line. I usually set up between the free throw line and 3-point line on non-shooters, and around the 3-point line versus the more dynamic players. You do this so you are never picking up the ball handler deep in the backcourt or at half court. Only time you should be doing this is if you're trying to get a steal, unless your defender has a certain quality I'll be going over later in the video. It just gives ball handlers way too easy a lane to the hoop and puts the defenders at a numbers disadvantage. Guarding around the perimeter, knowing you don't have to react to every little move the offensive player does to you is important, and prevents guys from getting in trouble sliding all over when the ball handler literally didn't go anywhere. With the increase in slidiness this year, some players can try this, but I flat out do not touch my left stick after I set up at the 3-point line until the ball handler physically moves his body. Sure, I have my right stick ready to contest and I'm hovering over the left stick to move, but like I mentioned earlier with the short steps with the left stick, it increases my discipline in maintaining ground until I need to move, instead of getting caught moving the second I see the ball handler doing something. The goal doing this is I literally want him to run into me. Now if they force contact by running into you, I don't know if you know this, but strength plays a big part in playing on-ball defense in NBA 2K. When players mindlessly run into you, one thing that helps them effortlessly blow by you is the player's strength rating. It's no coincidence the elite rim runners of the NBA, Russell Westbrook, Simmons, Giannis, John Wall, all have very high strength ratings for their position, which gives them a mismatch against other players. Ever wonder why Kyle Lowry is so tough to get by? Mainly because he has 67 strength when the average at his position is 53. A guy like Kyrie Irving has 37, so it's usually night-night for him on stronger guys. And like I mentioned, this plays a big part in determining who wins on the initial collision of the players and how much resistance will happen. Now the strength rating of both players determines how deep they can push you towards the paint. But once the collision begins, continue to flick the left stick in between the ball handler and the hoop to get in between them, and once the animation ends, either right stick up to contest or continue holding both triggers to regain your defensive stance. Now this has helped me a ton, and as a defender it's important to remember the goal is to simply contain the ball handler. You're guarding the castle, he has to get by you. And to defend the hoop properly, you must be aware of the aim points you must have on lockdown from the ball handler to keep them at bay. From the middle of the floor, you must defend the elbows, so anything inside the elbow area is the no-go. You can't let the ball handler get here before you do, it's bad. Help defense crumbles from here and you either give up a 2, foul, or both. You must cut them off before they reach this spot, as it's also where the ball handler's animations can start. Look at how James Posey just rides him across the free throw line out of the paint area by flicking the left stick in between the ball handler and the hoop. Same situation, Dame on Dame, but his starts his drive basically in the middle of the court and ends up on the outside of the paint area, forcing up a contested shot. Kyle Lowry on Trae Young, and he uses his grown man strength to push him out of the paint. Another posy highlight, pushing the ball handler sideways away from the basket. And this is what happens when you don't guard the paint. Guy was doing a lot of dancing when I barely went anywhere. He did my job for me, basically. And when you're on the wing and sidelines, you similarly want to guard the elbow closest to you to prevent them into the middle and force them across the free throw line if you can. And you also want to defend the block when they're driving baseline. They beat you here and they're able to finish their animation to the hoop for two. You beat them here and you force them into a much heavier contested shot. Getting accustomed to these aim points, anticipating this is where they need to go so you'll react faster, and being aware of them will have you naturally taking the proper adjustments on defense to always be in line with these marks, and also giving you a key to know when you're officially beat and when it's then time to retreat. Which is when the ball handler has a clear lane into these areas, and that's when you want to bust out the turbo, which is the right trigger. This is where your only goal is to get in between the ball handler and the hoop as fast as you can to trigger some kind of contested shot. It may be a hectic moment to some, but when you're in control and know exactly what you're doing, you can consistently force them into contested shots that they weren't expecting. And if you get caught sprinting when the ball handler didn't fully commit, just press the left trigger button again and it puts you back into your stance. Against the fast break, I'm surprised how often this works, but you want to implement a light jog technique against ball handlers and let them commit before you attempt to cut them off. Because in this position, oftentimes when you're more aggressive on the stick, your defender will put his foot in the ground and get beat because your opponent receiving the ball is going 100 miles an hour. See here, I was able to meet him before he entered the paint, actually threw in a steal attempt that I ended up getting, all because I beat him to a spot. Same exact situation here, but my opponent opting to not go for this one as he saw I was there before him and in position to contest anything he put up. These are my favorites. My back is literally to the ball handler running full speed, and you just wait for him to commit to where he's going before I pounce on it and cut him off. He actually threw in a nice counter Euro step to getting walled off with Zion though, credit to him. And to do the light jog, you just aim the left stick slowly in whatever direction you want. And lastly, there's also a predictable nature of on-ball defense. That since you can see behind you, if you're playing on 2K View or something similar, you can see what the ball handler sees and notice if there's a ton of open space to be had, and have an idea what their next move is before they make it, and get a jump on it to get some cheap steals. Sorry sports gamers, hope this video was able to help you out. And if you like the content we provide, make sure to subscribe to Sports Gamers Online for more NBA 2K21 content. And once you're with us, hit that bell icon at the bottom so you don't miss anything we put out. Alright people, I'm Chris. Thank you all for watching, and be good y'all.